Iran hits back as historic World Cup goal is disallowed against Egypt. For 3 seconds, it was the best goal scored at this entire World Cup. The ball hit the back of the net. Mehdi Taremi was already spinning away in celebration. 35,000 Iranian voices inside SoFi Stadium erupted into the kind of noise that stays with you for years. Even a Los Angeles Times sports writer in the press box, no allegiance to either side, reached for his keyboard and typed one of the best any team has scored in this World Cup. Then the referee touched his earpiece, and everything stopped. What happened next at SoFi Stadium on June 21st will be debated, replayed, and mourned by Iranian football supporters for years to come, because this was not simply a goal that got ruled out. This was a masterpiece taken away by a margin so thin, so brutally narrow, that even the technology designed to find it struggled to be certain. And for a team that has fought every single day of this World Cup just for the right to be here, it was a cruelty this story did not need, and that the watching world could barely believe. To understand the weight of that moment, you need to understand where Iran stood when it arrived. This is a team that spent months before the tournament uncertain whether they would even be allowed into the country hosting it. A team whose coach spent the group stage describing his players as the most restricted at the entire competition, arriving in each host city just 1 day before every match, leaving the same night the final whistle blew, living out of suitcases between two countries because their visa conditions allowed nothing else. A team whose opening match against New Zealand, played in the shadow of protests both inside and outside the stadium, saw them come from 2 goals down to draw, showing a level of mental strength that most professional squads, even fully rested ones with proper preparation, would struggle to find. And yet, here they were, 3 weeks into the tournament, still standing, still fighting. Second in Group G with 2 points, 1 match remaining, and a genuine shot at reaching the knockout rounds of a World Cup that by almost every measure was never supposed to welcome them at all. Belgium were the opponents at SoFi Stadium, and Belgium, for all the star power in their squad, had problems of their own. De Bruyne, Lukaku, Courtois, Witsel. For a decade, these names represented one of the most talented generations European football has produced. A generation that somehow never won the thing it was built to win. The 2018 World Cup semi-final loss to France. The Euro 2020 quarter-final exit. The 2022 World Cup group stage elimination, a golden generation running out of tournaments, still searching for the moment when it all came together. In Los Angeles, after 45 minutes of football in which Belgium had controlled possession but created almost nothing against a fiercely organized Iranian defense, those familiar questions were gathering again. Neither side had scored, and it was Iran, the team. Everyone expected Belgium to brush aside. That looked the more dangerous on the counter. Then came the moment, a free kick 35 yards from goal. Far enough out that shooting would be ambitious at best. Belgium's wall assembled. Courtois positioned himself. The crowd held its breath. And then Iran's captain Ehsan Haj-Safi did something nobody in that stadium saw coming. Instead of shooting, he played a pass. Not over the wall, not around it, through it. A perfectly weighted ball threaded at exactly the right angle, slipping between the legs of Belgium's defensive line and finding Taremi arriving at the edge of the penalty area. Back to goal completely. Unmarked, completely undetected. What Taremi did next was pure instinct. 1 touch to control, 1 fluid pivot on his standing foot. A low, precise shot driven past Courtois, who had no time to move, no chance to adjust, and no warning the shot was even coming. The net moved. The stadium erupted. For those 3 seconds, before the flag went up, before the whisper came through the earpiece, before the world changed, it was one of the great moments of creative football this World Cup has produced. The kind of goal that gets replayed for decades. The kind shown to children learning the game as proof that football is not only about power or pace or athleticism, but about intelligence, imagination, and seeing something on a pitch that nobody else in the stadium has seen. Haj-Safi and Taremi had rehearsed that routine, planned it, trusted each other to execute it under the weight of a World Cup match against one of the most experienced goalkeepers on earth in front of a global television audience. It worked perfectly, except for the line. Argentine referee Dario Herrera was directed to consult VAR. The review was lengthy, unusually lengthy given the sophistication of the tracking technology available. What the VAR team searched for amid the cluster of bodies involved in the free kick was the precise position of Taremi at the exact moment Haj-Safi played the pass. What they found after a review that stretched the patience of every Iranian supporter inside that stadium was that Taremi was offside, not by a meter, not by half a meter, by the width of his own backside. As he stood with his back to goal waiting for the ball, the trailing edge of his body was marginally beyond the last Belgian defender, shoulder width offside as one report measured it, a fraction of the human body captured by a laser line in a frozen frame, extinguishing a goal that had already lived in the memory of everyone who saw it. Taremi stood on the pitch, stared at the ground, and said nothing. On the Iranian bench, coach Amir Galenoy absorbed the moment with the expression of a man who has learned over the course of this extraordinary tournament that fortune is not something his team can count on. He said nothing either. There was nothing to say. The match ended 0-0, a result that left both teams in a difficult position heading into their final group games. Belgium, still without a goal in 2 World Cup matches, faced the prospect of becoming the first Belgian side ever eliminated in the group stage of 2 successive World Cups. Iran, with 2 points and a goal difference of 0, knew their fate would be decided in a match already carrying more tension than any other fixture at this tournament. Their final group game against Egypt in Seattle, designated in advance as the Pride match, surrounded by protests, political statements, and global attention that had nothing to do with football and everything to do with the world beyond it. But in the hours after the Belgium match, the story of the disallowed goal reached a dimension nobody had anticipated. Viral posts began spreading across social media, claiming the VAR team responsible for the decision had been composed entirely of Israeli officials, a claim made directly against the backdrop of the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran that had overshadowed the entire build-up to this World Cup. The image accompanying the claim showed officials in olive green uniforms alleged to belong to the VAR review team for the Iran match. The image was false. It had been digitally manipulated. The original photograph was from a completely different match, Germany against Curacao. And FIFA's official list of video assistant referees for this World Cup includes no Israeli nationals. Every credible fact-checking organization that examined the claim reached the same conclusion. The viral post was misinformation, designed to inflame an already emotionally raw situation, but the speed with which it spread, the hunger with which millions of people around the world reached for it, shared it, and believed it, tells its own story. Not about the VAR decision itself, which the evidence suggests was technically correct, however agonizing, but about the temperature surrounding this Iranian team, about how much pressure, how much perceived injustice, how much accumulated frustration has built around them over the course of this extraordinary campaign, because that frustration is not invented, it is earned through visa restrictions and overnight travel schedules and protests and political storms, and a tournament that has placed obstacles in this team's path at every single turn, and yet they are still here. Still competing, still creating moments of football that stop the world, still walking onto a World Cup pitch and executing a free kick routine so creative, so precisely planned, so perfectly carried out that even in its disallowance, it has become one of the defining images of this entire tournament. Galenoy, speaking to reporters after the match, reached past the frustration and found something else. Something that no VAR line and no offside ruling can take away from the group of players he has guided through the most extraordinary and punishing World Cup campaign any coach can remember. "I don't think any team in the world," he said, "could have sustained such conditions and played like this. He is right.